Diane explained the situation while Tom and I listened to her half of the conversation. Dylan agreed to meet us the next day and said he'd start looking into Rebecca's background immediately. None of us could sleep, so we stayed up making lists of everything suspicious about Rebecca and her story. The terminal illness that changed depending on who she talked to. The way she isolated my mother from anyone who questioned her. How quickly everything happened after my mother married Howard. By the time the sun came up, we had 3 pages of red flags that should have been obvious from the start. Diane called Abigail Lockwood at 9 in the morning. Abigail was a family lawyer who handled elder manipulation cases and had helped Diane's friend last year when her father changed his will under suspicious circumstances. Abigail agreed to review everything we'd gathered and meet with us that afternoon. We showed up at her office with the hospital records, the timeline of events, and our list of concerns about Rebecca's behavior. Abigail spent 2 hours going through every document while asking questions about my mother's relationship with Howard and how quickly Rebecca had gained control. She explained that proving undue influence in court was difficult, but not impossible. The speed of the will change helped our case. The fact that my mother had cut me out completely after 34 years helped our case. Rebecca's documented history of lying about her health helped our case. Abigail said we needed more evidence before taking legal action, but what we had so far was enough to start building a case. She told us to document every interaction with my mother and Rebecca from now on. Record phone calls if possible. Save text messages. Keep a detailed timeline of Rebecca's escalating control over my mother's decisions and finances. Abigail warned us that cases like this often got worse before they got better, because manipulators like Rebecca doubled down when they felt threatened. I tried calling my mother 3 times over the next week, but she never answered. I left messages saying I loved her and wanted to talk. I sent texts asking if she was okay. Nothing. On the 8th day, Howard finally picked up when I called. He told me Rebecca had a health crisis after the party, and my mother was too stressed to deal with me right now. I asked what kind of health crisis, and Howard got vague. Something about her heart. Or maybe her lungs. He wasn't sure, but it was serious, and seeing me would make it worse. I asked to speak with my mother directly, but Howard said she was resting. He hung up before I could say anything else. I called Diane immediately and told her about the conversation. She added it to our timeline showing how Rebecca used fake medical emergencies to keep my mother isolated. Dylan called 2 days later with information that made my hands shake. Rebecca's supposed terminal illness changed depending on who she was talking to. He'd interviewed 3 of my mother's neighbors and 1 of my cousins who'd spoken to Rebecca at the party. She told my mother it was cancer. She told my cousin Sarah it was a rare heart condition. She told the neighbor across the street it was a blood disorder that doctors couldn't treat.